Look at this map. A massive percentage of the world's energy supply relies on this single geographic choke point, the Strait of Hormuz. At just 21 miles wide, millions of barrels of oil pass through daily, making it the global economy's most critical valve. Recently, tensions in this waterway have boiled over. Commercial ships have been struck, and in response, the United States is attempting to establish its own protected shipping corridors to bypass Iranian control. Western media typically frames these disruptions as rogue, irrational Iranian aggression, acts of random violence designed to cause chaos. From Tehran's perspective, these actions are a highly calculated tit-for-tat enforcement strategy. The crisis in the strait focuses on a specific, broken piece of paper, the U.S.-Iran Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU. Under the original MOU, Iran made a clear commitment. They would normalize and manage safe commercial shipping through the strait. In exchange, the United States agreed to release frozen Iranian assets and to lift heady sanctions on Iran's oil exports. The deal also included regional de-escalation clauses. A key requirement was for the U.S. to pressure the Israeli regime to end its military operations and the resulting slaughter in Lebanon. Iran asserts that the Trump administration violated every single one of these commitments. Instead of lifting sanctions, the U.S. launched a crushing economic siege while ignoring the regional clauses. This diagram illustrates the logic of Article 5 of the MOU. It gives Iran a legal justification to halt the normalization of the strait if the U.S. fails to meet its obligations. When Washington removes its commitments on one side, Iran locks down access on the other. To counter this, Washington attempted to open an independent shipping corridor through the strait. The goal was to bypass Iranian authority and keep trade flowing without having to honor the U.S. side of the bargain. Iran realized that if the U.S. successfully established this bypass, Tehran would lose its only physical leverage to force an end to the financial siege. Iran responded by striking ships to the unauthorized American corridor. It was a stark warning to regional allies like the Saudis and Iraqis. Cooperate with the bypass, and your vessels will pay the price. This aggressive posture stems from a severe military asymmetry. American military assets in the region are highly exposed, spread across vulnerable surface-level bases throughout the Persian Gulf. By contrast, most of Iran's key assets are deeply buried. They rely on decentralized underground missile and drone facilities that are incredibly difficult for conventional bombers to target. Washington faces a specific economic crisis on its own soil. The U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve has reached a 40-year low, stripping away the energy buffer that usually protects the American public from global supply shocks. Iran's military strategy is designed to hold the U.S. domestic economy and upcoming elections hostage. By throttling the strait, they ensure that every American feels the impact at the gas pump. Consequently, Tehran has drawn a diplomatic hard line. They refuse to enter any new nuclear negotiations or discuss transit fees until Washington fully implements the original obligations of the MOU. While Western narratives often claim the Iranian government is crumbling under pressure, the reality on the ground shows massive domestic support. Millions of citizens flooding the streets of Tehran highlight the public backing for this hardline resistance. The legacy of assassinated figures like General Qasem Soleimani has galvanized the population and cemented this uncompromising stance into state policy. This resolve extends far beyond Iran's borders. The wider axis of resistance, including powerful Iraqi factions and regional proxies, stands united with Tehran against the U.S. economic siege. The standoff in the Strait of Hormuz represents a brutal, modern evolution of contract negotiation. These kinetic strikes serve as a physical leverage point used to demand compliance with a signed agreement. Iran has successfully transformed a commercial shipping lane into a geopolitical weapon. They have proven that a regional power can effectively paralyze a global financial superpower simply by closing the valve on the global economy.